Let me say this carefully. Trump just announced a warrior dividend, $1,776, paid out to active duty members before Christmas. He announced it last night in a speech. I'm sure a lot of you watched it. He waited to the very end.
Saving between $11,000 and $20,000 a year. And next spring is projected to be the largest tax refund season of all time. Because of tariffs, along with the just passed One Big Beautiful Bill, tonight I am also proud to announce that more than 1,450,000, think of this, 1,450,000 military service members will receive a special, we call warrior dividend before Christmas, a warrior dividend. In honor of our nation's founding in 1776, we are sending every soldier $1,776. Think of that. And the checks are already on the way. Nobody understood that one until about 30 minutes ago. We made a lot more
money. Right now,
money.
patriots are cheering. Social media is clapping. Troops feel seen again. Good. But if you've worn the uniform, if you ever stood on a flight deck, if you ever watched the lobster and steak show up right before deployment, you already know what this really is. Because governments don't suddenly remember the warrior unless they're about to need them. And I'm not saying this is bad. I'm not saying this is wrong. I'm saying it's familiar. Every empire does it. They honor the warrior. They feed the warrior. They pay the warrior right before they spend them. And what makes this different is what's happening everywhere else at the same time. China and Russia are openly pledging protection to Iran and Venezuela. Maduro is screaming about U.S. regime change. Global alliances are hardening, not softening. And while the crowds are focused on the payout, history is whispering something darker. We call this the warrior ritual. When I was in, before you went out, before the danger, before the unknown, they fed you like royalty, steak, lobster, good chow, good morale, every time. That wasn't generosity. That was a ritual. Ancient armies did the same thing. Roman legions feasted before the campaigns. Medieval knights were honored before battle. And modern militaries do it with bonuses, speeches, and symbolism. You don't boost morale when the body bags come home. You boost it right before. When I came in under Clinton, it was a post-Cold War drawdown. So there were cuts, early retirement packages, peace dividend thinking. Guys were getting out at 15 years. I can't remember the amount, but I think it was like $30,000. You know, it's grotesque to even think people took that. It was so close to actual retirement at that point in time that they would even do that to our service members. A lot of the service members felt ignored. You know, the military was not really something viewed upon as patriotic at that point in time, to be honest with you. But then Bush came in, pay raises, rebuilding, respect restored. The warrior mattered again, right? Clinton closed down all kinds of bases as well, consolidating and so on, right? So Bush came in, and I remember, man, the pay jump, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm actually making some livable money, because it was unlivable before then, but it was livable money. He started taking care of the troops. He made them the most important thing. And then guess what? 9/11 happened. An entire generation went to war for 20 years. At that time, Bush was loved by the American public, the conservatives, and very much loved by the troops. We all loved him. Now, we all know him to be a villain. It's crazy how things turn out, right? We all loved him. Trust me, we all did. We thought he was the greatest thing that ever happened because he took care of us. But again, now, Bush Jr., a villain. And that's another pattern nobody talks about, that leaders are praised at the beginning of the war and cursed by the end of the war. Right? And you know, this is important, so listen closely. This isn't knocking it at all, or knocking Trump even. Trump understands morale. He understands loyalty, and he understands symbolism. The dude's a marketing genius. I mean, look at what he's done. He's a marketing guy. He knows how to work socials, run memes, and so on. That's why this move is very effective. But effectiveness doesn't erase historical patterns. When leaders start publicly elevating warriors, whether it's financially, culturally, or with rhetoric. Peace doesn't require warriors. Peace doesn't require warriors. War does. You get what I'm saying? Peace doesn't require warriors. War does. Now, if we zoom out, China and Russia is openly signaling protection for Iran and Venezuela. BRICS is tightening, sanctions hardening, energy trade, shipping lanes, resources. And, we've got Venezuela surrounded. Maduro isn't panicking for no reason. He stated that we are after his oil and his mineral resources there. And he's saying that we've never had those rights.
Getting land back from Venezuela? What land? Getting land, oil rights, whatever we had. They took it away because we had a president that maybe wasn't watching. But they're not going to do that. We want it back. They took our oil rights. We had a lot of oil there. As you know, they threw our companies out, and we want it back. It's a blockade. Not going to let anybody going through that shouldn't be going through. You remember, they took all of our energy rights. They took all of our oil from not that long ago, and we want it back.
Sucedido el día de ayer y hoy, cuando el gobierno de los Estados Unidos dice que le pertenecen a ellos y que los venezolanos le robamos el petróleo. O sea, que el petróleo venezolano le pertenece a ellos. Que los minerales venezolanos, el oro y todos los minerales le pertenecen a ellos. Y lo que nunca habíamos escuchado, que las tierras de Venezuela le pertenecen a ellos y se lo tenemos que devolver de manera inmediata. Sencillamente, es una pretensión guerrerista y colonialista. Y lo hemos dicho bastante y ya todo el mundo ve la verdad. La verdad ha sido develada. Se pretende en Venezuela un cambio de régimen para imponer un gobierno títere que no duraría ni 47 horas, que llegue a entregarle la Constitución, la soberanía y todas las riquezas y convierta a Venezuela en una colonia. Sencillamente eso no va a pasar. Nunca, jamás. Never, never in the life. Venezuela será colonia de nada, de nadie, jamás.
And Washington is not moving pieces in isolation, right? Morale at home, signals abroad. I wouldn't say that's a coincidence. I would say that's what you call chess, okay? Moving the pieces, position them on the board. So what does this dividend really do? A warrior dividend does four things. Rebuilds goodwill with the military, signals seriousness to our adversaries, centers loyalty internally, buys time politically. It's smart, but it's also historically loaded. Again, with everything happening around the globe, and you have these alliances, you have BRICS, you have China, Russia. Russia's engaged right now with Ukraine. It's a proxy war with us, the U.S. You have Kim Jong-un saying that he would protect Venezuela at all costs, and China's wanting Taiwan. Things are unstable globally, okay? All it takes sometimes is just the fuse to be lit. And as I mentioned before in previous videos, is Venezuela is a stepchild to China and Russia and Iran, actually. All those things are happening, right? We've been seizing boats or striking them constantly, and Rand Paul's came out yesterday very upset about this.
Got that. But are you okay with strangling Maduro's cash flow with an oil blockade?
Well, if you want to go to war with another country, our founding fathers anticipated that, and they said that it would be declared by Congress. The power was never given to presidents to begin war. This certainly looks like a massive armada, a massive amount of military force, and if bombs begin dropping on Venezuela, or there's an invasion, or essentially a blockade, which is an act of war, there really should be a vote by Congress. But you can't simply say, oh, we designate these people to be terrorists. Realize that the boats that are being blown up, about 1 in 4 boats that are interdicted by the Coast Guard don't have any drugs on them. So there's a 25% error rate, and there is no evidence these people are armed. We have never in our past decided just to shoot smugglers who are unarmed without even proof that they're smuggling anything. So I think this is a horrendous thing and should stop. I think it's illegal.
Now we're stopping all traffic going out, and you have to understand, like, just looking objectively what this actually means. It means there probably will be some type of action there. Maybe not ground combat, maybe just airstrikes, maybe clandestine operations. But the fact is that they want regime change. They want a, like Maduro even said, a puppet in charge, kind of like Ukraine. Zelensky's a puppet. He's been a puppet. That's what they want. America wants that control over various regions, so they instill their own, right? But this is kind of where I'll land on it, man. You can respect the warrior dividend. I think it's a good thing. I always love to see, because I was there one time and I knew how the life is. The life sucks at times. You're underpaid by and large, and so you can respect it. It's a very patriotic thing to do, but you can't be blind what usually follows it. Okay, honor the troops, absolutely. Pay them, yeah, they deserve it, and respect them. That's long overdue. Just don't pretend this is happens inside of a vacuum, because history says it never does. And all those lobster and steak dinners you would get before being out for very long times, and things like that, man, that's the way it works, from small scale up to large scale. Bush gave us massive pay increases, so almost immediately. So it was a signal, hey, loyalty to essentially Bush, and again, a lot of you guys, if you'll chime in, that remember this, that were serving during this time, you can drop in the comments and let us know your thoughts as well. But I'm not saying we're going to war tomorrow. I'm saying that history tells us when a government suddenly remembers the warriors, usually because they need them, right? Hence why Clinton was doing a basically shutdown across the country of the military, because thought, oh, we don't need them anymore. When you don't need the warrior, then you decrease the pay, decrease the size, and so on. Clinton thought we didn't need the warrior. And then Bush comes in, immediately starts giving raises and so on, right? But presidents throughout history have done this. I mean, you can go through almost every major conflict, and every time right before military gets some kind of increase, some type of recognition, and so on, is how it's done. We also saw last week the border war campaign medals. I think that's what they're called. Mexican border campaign medal, I think it was passed out. So you see these things happening. Sometimes it's medal, sometimes it's pay. You just see this same type of things happen over and over again, right? But you got to have your eyes open, and patterns matter, and that's what this video is about, is that the pattern recognition, that we've seen this before, and this type of thing, and usually this is what comes right after. Stay grounded, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Black Scout out.